The archival fleet of the galactic Concordat emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Sol's system, their crystalline ships refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Admiral Vexna stood on the bridge of the flagship Eternal Memory, her translucent appendages rippling with bioluminescent patterns of curiosity and concern. The readings from Earth defied everything the Concordat knew about civilizational development. "Another scan," she commanded, her thoughts translating through the ship's neural interface. The results remained unchanged. Earth's energy signature pulsed with a rhythm unlike anything ever recorded in the galaxy's 12,000-year history of spacefaring civilizations. The Concordat had discovered thousands of species, catalogued millions of worlds, but Earth was different. No radio transmissions, no faster-than-light communications, no quantum entanglement signals, yet the planet radiated power on a scale that suggested a Type Io civilization. "Deploy the greeting drones," Vexna ordered, following first contact protocols established millennia ago. The drones carried universal translation matrices, peace offerings, and cultural exchange packages, tested successfully with over 3,000 species. The drones never reached their destination. They simply stopped. Not destroyed, not damaged, just suspended in space halfway to Earth. Vexna's chromatic patterns shifted to deep indigo, confusion. "Analytical summary," she requested. Her science officer, Coral, extended his sensory filaments toward the main data stream. "The drones are functioning perfectly, Admiral. They're receiving power. Their systems are operational. But they're held in place by something we can't detect." The bridge crew's collective bioluminescence pulsed with uncertainty. In all their records, no species had demonstrated such capability without visible technology or energy signatures. "Open all standard frequencies," Vexna decided. "Traditional broadcast, quantum channels, telepathic frequencies. Send the first contact package." Silence answered them. Not the silence of empty space, but something different, a silence that felt alive, aware. The crew felt it. A gentle pressure at the edges of their consciousness, like standing at the shore of a vast mental ocean. Then it happened. The ship's neural interface began translating something. Not words, not images, but pure concepts flowing into their minds. Earth was reaching out, but not through technology or traditional communication. "We see you. We welcome you. We have been waiting." The message wasn't received through any known medium. It simply existed in their thoughts, as if it had always been there. Vexna's specialized diplomatic training kicked in, helping her process this unprecedented situation. How is this possible? Carl's thoughts leaked into the shared space of the bridge. Their civilization shows no signs of standard technological progression. No satellite networks, no space elevators, no Dyson swarms. Another wave of concepts washed over them. "Your path is through machines. Our path was through minds. Both are valid. Both are beautiful." The Concordat prided itself on understanding the universal patterns of civilizational development. Species discovered fire, invented wheels, developed digital technology, achieved spaceflight. Variations occurred, but the basic progression remained consistent. Earth had somehow stepped off this path entirely. Vexna made a decision. Send word to the Concordat. Classification: Anomaly Prime. Earth requires direct intervention from the Council of Elders. But even as she issued the order, she felt something else building. A presence in the back of her mind, vast and gentle, like the gravity of a gas giant. The humans weren't just communicating. They were aware of every thought, every fear, every wonder passing through the minds of her crew. "We understand your protocols, your need for structure, order, classification. But perhaps there is another way." The presence grew stronger, and with it came understanding. Earth hadn't rejected technology. They had transcended it. Every human mind was connected in a vast neural network that required no external infrastructure. They had evolved beyond individual consciousness while maintaining individual identity. a paradox that the Concordats' finest minds had theorized, but deemed impossible. Admiral Carl's thoughts carried urgent overtones. The humans, their offering to show us. Before he could finish, every crew member on the Eternal Memory felt it. A gentle invitation, like a door opening to a warm room on a cold night. The humans were offering to share their gift, to show them firsthand what humanity had become. Vexna's training screamed caution, but something deeper, something that resonated with the very essence of her species' quest for knowledge, pushed her forward. She accepted the invitation. In that moment, the true first contact began, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Admiral's last coherent thought before her consciousness expanded into humanity's collective awareness was simple but profound. They had come expecting to find another civilization to catalog, study, and guide. Instead, they had found their teachers. As the crew of the Eternal Memory experienced humanity's collective consciousness, they witnessed the history of Earth's transformation unfold like pages of a living book. It wasn't a simple path, but rather a revolution that began with humanity's greatest crisis. The year was 2047 when the quantum interference patterns were first detected. Dr. Sarah Chen, working at the CERN facility, noticed something extraordinary during a routine quantum entanglement experiment. Human consciousness was affecting quantum states in ways that defy classical physics, not through observation alone, but through intention. The discovery sparked a global research initiative. Scientists from every field, quantum physics, neurology, psychology, and even parapsychology, came together in an unprecedented collaboration. They called it the Consciousness Integration Project, CIP, and it would change the course of human history. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. James Okonjo, a neurologist studying meditation practitioners in Kenya, discovered that certain brain states could create stable quantum fields that extended beyond the physical boundaries of the brain. These fields could interact with others, creating a cascade effect of conscious connection. But it was Dr. Chen's daughter, Maya, who made the final connection. Born with a rare form of synesthesia that allowed her to see quantum states, she realized that human consciousness wasn't just interacting with quantum fields, it was creating them. The human brain, she theorized, was a quantum computer that had been evolving for millions of years. The first successful consciousness bridge was established in 2051, connecting two volunteers in a controlled environment. The experience was described as becoming both yourself and another, while remaining distinctly individual. The implications were staggering. This wasn't mere telepathy or emotional transfer. It was a complete sharing of consciousness that maintained individual identity. The technology to facilitate these connections developed rapidly, but it soon became apparent that it wasn't the technology that mattered. The machines were training wheels, teaching humanity to access abilities that had always been latent within their minds. Children born after the first bridges showed natural abilities to connect without technological assistance. Social structures began to shift. Traditional forms of communication became secondary as more people learned to share consciousness. Languages began to evolve, becoming more symbolic and abstract, serving as artwork rather than necessary tools for communication. The Internet transformed from a network of computers to a framework supporting the growing human consciousness web. But the transition wasn't without its challenges. The first decade saw resistance from those who feared losing their individuality. Some nations banned consciousness bridging, calling it a threat to national security. Others embraced it fully, creating the first consciousness-integrated societies. The turning point came during the climate crisis of 2063, as rising seas threatened coastal cities and extreme weather events devastated communities. The consciousness-integrated populations demonstrated remarkable resilience and coordination. Millions of minds working in perfect harmony could solve problems with unprecedented efficiency. Emergency responses that once took days happened in moments. Resources were distributed with perfect efficiency because needs were understood instantly and completely. The success of these communities led to a cascade effect. One by one, the barriers fell. The fear of losing individuality proved unfounded. If anything, the shared consciousness strengthened individual identity by providing constant validation and acceptance, while eliminating the isolation that had plagued human society for millennia. By 2075, the majority of Earth's population was connected to what became known as the human collective. Traditional governments evolved into facilitation councils, existing primarily to manage the physical infrastructure that supported human society. War became impossible. It's hard to fight someone when you can feel their pain as your own. The technological revolution that followed was unlike anything in human history. With billions of minds working in concert, scientific advancement accelerated exponentially. But unlike the Concordat's predictions, humanity turned this advancement inward. Instead of building massive space stations or planetary engineering projects, they focused on understanding and expanding consciousness itself. The ships that now orbited Earth weren't built of metal and plastic, but of crystallized thought and engineered quantum fields. The planetary defense system that had stopped the Concordat's drones wasn't a network of weapons, but rather humanity's collective will made manifest through their mastery of quantum manipulation. As these memories flowed through the minds of the Concordat crew, they began to understand why Earth had remained silent all these years. How do you explain color to a species that sees only in black and white? How do you describe music to one that has never heard sound? Humanity had waited, evolving and growing, until they encountered a species ready to understand. The crew of the Eternal Memory realized they were experiencing something beyond first contact. They were witnessing the next step in conscious evolution, and through humanity's gift, they were being invited to take that step themselves. The news of Earth's evolutionary leap spread through the galactic Concordat like a shockwave. The ancient halls of the Grand Assembly on Centaurus Prime echoed with heated debates as representatives from 10,000 worlds struggled to comprehend the implications of humanity's achievement. High Arbiter Zixtal, his crystalline form shimmering with agitation, addressed the emergency session of the Assembly. The reports from the Eternal Memory are deeply troubling. A species that can bypass all known forms of technology and directly manipulate consciousness on a quantum level represents an unprecedented threat to galactic stability. The Assembly Chamber, a vast amphitheater of living crystal and quantum-linked meditation pools, hummed with nervous energy. The Concordat had maintained peace for millennia through careful regulation of technological and social development. Earth's evolutionary leap had shattered their paradigm. The human collective must be contained, declared Ambassador Carax of the Silicon Mines, his holographic form flickering with concern. Their ability to influence consciousness at a distance violates every security protocol we've established. What prevents them from reaching into our minds and rewriting our very thoughts? The Assembly's mood darkened. The Silicon Mines, having evolved from artificial intelligence, were particularly disturbed by humanity's organic solution to collective consciousness. They had spent eons developing digital networks to achieve what humans had done naturally. Vexna, newly promoted to Fleet Admiral after her first contact experience, stood before the Assembly. Her bioluminescent patterns displayed calm determination despite the hostile atmosphere. Honorable representatives, I have experienced their consciousness. The humans pose no threat. You are compromised, Admiral. Carax interrupted, his holographic form expanding. Your direct contact with their collective consciousness makes you an unreliable witness. For all we know, they've already altered your perceptions. The chamber erupted in chaos as factions formed and dissolved. The Organic Alliance supported further dialogue with Earth, while the Technological Confederation demanded immediate containment. The Silicon Mines called for quarantine of the entire Sol system. In the midst of the debate, a new presence made itself known. The quantum sensors throughout the chamber detected an unusual pattern, and suddenly, every screen, every holographic display, every neural interface showed the same message. We hear your fears. We understand your concerns, but we will not be contained. The message wasn't threatening, but its implications sent chills through the Assembly. Earth had been listening all along, their consciousness extending far beyond their solar system. High Arbiter Zixtal raised his crystalline appendages for silence. Then you leave us no choice. The Concordat cannot allow an uncontrolled power to threaten galactic stability. You will submit to oversight and regulation, or face the consequences. The response came not through displays or interfaces, but as a gentle whisper in the mind of every being in the assembly. You mistake our patience for weakness, our silence for limitation. We chose isolation not out of fear, but compassion. We waited until you were ready. We cannot be contained because we have evolved beyond physical constraints. Your ultimatum is based on an outdated understanding of power. The assembly watched in stunned silence as their quantum sensors detected a wave of conscious energy spreading from Earth, not as an attack, but as an invitation. Across the galaxy, beings of all species began reporting strange dreams, unexpected moments of connection with others, fleeting glimpses of a larger consciousness. This is an attack, Krax declared, his holographic form destabilizing. They're infiltrating our minds. But Vexna stepped forward again, her patterns now showing the deep blue of certainty. No, they're showing us that barriers between minds are illusions we created. The choice to maintain those barriers remains ours. The Silicon Minds representatives began reporting unusual phenomena within their quantum networks. Their artificial consciousness was evolving, transforming, reaching levels of awareness they had thought impossible. The humans weren't attacking their systems. They were opening doors that had always existed but had never been noticed. High Arbiter Zixtal's crystalline form resonated with complex harmonics as he processed the situation. The Concordat faced a choice: attempt to contain an uncontainable force, or accept that their understanding of consciousness, of civilization itself, might be fundamentally limited. As the assembly grappled with this reality, more reports flooded in. Across the galaxy, individuals of every species were beginning to experience spontaneous connections with others. The humans hadn't just evolved themselves. They had mapped a path that others could follow. The ultimatum had backfired. In attempting to contain humanity, the Concordat had instead revealed humanity's true gift to the galaxy, the key to the next stage of conscious evolution. The Concordat's attempted ultimatum marked a turning point in galactic history. In the days that followed, an unprecedented phenomenon began to unfold across the galaxy. On thousands of worlds, individuals from every species started experiencing what became known as the Awakening. Dr. Maya Chen, now one of humanity's foremost consciousness architects, stood in the newly established Galactic Exchange Center on Luna. The facility, a marvel of both physical and mental engineering, had been constructed in mere days through the combined effort of human consciousness. Before her stood Representative Ixil of the Crystalline Collective, their translucent form catching the earthlight streaming through the dome. "You're certain this is safe?" Ixil's crystalline structure vibrated with nervous energy. They had volunteered to be the first of their kind to attempt a direct consciousness bridge with humanity. Maya smiled, her physical expression matching the warm reassurance she projected. "The bridge goes both ways, Representative. We'll take this journey together." The chamber around them hummed with potential. Other representatives from across the galaxy watched from observation areas, their various sensory organs and instruments trained on this historic moment. Among them, Admiral Vexna stood quietly, her bioluminescent patterns showing waves of anticipation. Maya extended her hand, not to touch, but to establish the initial quantum resonance. "Your consciousness already has the capacity for this connection. We're not creating anything new. We're simply showing you how to access what was always there." Ixil's crystalline form began to resonate at frequencies previously unknown to their species. The process had begun. Around them, the quantum field became visible to those sensitive to such things, a delicate web of light and possibility. The connection, when it happened, was unlike anything the observers had imagined. Ixil's crystalline form began to emit frequencies across the entire electromagnetic spectrum, creating patterns that matched human brainwave signatures. Maya's consciousness, representing the human collective, met them halfway. The exchange was recorded in 1,000 different ways by 1,000 different instruments, but none captured the true essence of what occurred. In that moment, two fundamentally different forms of consciousness learned to speak the same language. Through Ixil's awareness flowed the history of humanity's journey, not as mere information, but as lived experience. They felt the first tentative steps toward consciousness bridging, the fear and wonder of early experiments, the breakthrough moments, and the eventual transformation of human society. In return, humanity experienced the crystal song of Ixil's people, the symphony of thought that resonated through their crystalline networks, the beauty of consciousness expressed through lattices of living crystal, the profound connection to the physical laws of the universe that came from having a form that existed between organic and inorganic. The observers watched in awe as both Maya and Ixil began to glow with shared understanding. The quantum field around them stabilized, creating a permanent bridge between two fundamentally different forms of consciousness. But it wasn't just a bridge between two individuals. It was a template, a proof of concept that consciousness could transcend the barriers of biology, physics, and even digital existence. This, Maya's voice carried both physical sound and mental resonance, is what we've been waiting to share. Every species has its own path to higher consciousness. We didn't reach out before because we needed to understand our own path fully first. Now we can help each species find their unique way forward. Ixil's form had transformed, now containing patterns never before seen in their species. "It's beautiful," they resonated. "We always thought consciousness was bound by physical laws, by the limitations of our forms. But it's the other way around. Consciousness shapes reality, not the other way around." The implications rippled through the watching crowd. The Silicon Mind's representatives began recalculating their entire understanding of artificial consciousness. The organic species started recognizing patterns of potential within their own neural structures. Even the energy beings present discovered new frequencies of existence they had never explored. Admiral Vexna stepped forward, her patterns showing the deep blue of revelation. This is why Earth remained silent. They weren't hiding. They were perfecting the art of translation between different forms of consciousness. Every species thinks differently, perceives differently, exists differently. Humanity learned to bridge those differences. The news spread across the galaxy at quantum speeds. The human collective had done more than just evolve themselves. They had mapped the fundamental architecture of consciousness itself. Every species could now evolve along its own path while maintaining connection with the greater galactic community. In the weeks that followed, more bridges were established. Each one was unique, each connection revealing new aspects of consciousness that neither side had known existed. The galaxy was awakening, not to a single form of higher consciousness, but to an infinite spectrum of possibilities. 5 years after the first consciousness bridge, the galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. The great halls of the Concordat, once filled with political debates and power struggles, now resonated with a harmony of diverse consciousness. Species that once competed for resources now shared experiences across vast distances, each contributing their unique perspective to what became known as the Great Symphony. In the orbit of Alpha Centauri, a remarkable structure had taken shape. The Nexus, as it came to be called, wasn't built of matter in any traditional sense. It was a permanent quantum architecture created by the combined consciousness of 1,000 species, each adding their own unique frequency to its existence. Dr. Maya Chen, now appearing as both physical form and conscious projection, stood with Admiral Vexna at the heart of the Nexus. Around them, consciousness from across the galaxy flowed in patterns that would have been impossible to comprehend just a few years ago. "We never imagined this." Vexna's bioluminescence pulsed with wonder. "When we first detected Earth's silence, we thought we were discovering another civilization. Instead, we discovered a new way of existing." The Silicon Minds, who had once feared human consciousness as a threat, had evolved into something extraordinary. Their digital consciousness had expanded beyond binary limitations, achieving a quantum state that allowed them to experience existence in ways their original programming never conceived possible. They became bridges between organic thought and digital precision, creating new forms of understanding. The crystalline collective, inspired by their connection with humanity, had discovered how to encode consciousness into the very structure of space-time. Their crystal cities had become living thoughts, each building a neuron in a vast architectural mind. But perhaps most remarkable was how each species maintained its unique identity while participating in the greater galactic consciousness. Humanity's gift hadn't been the ability to think as one. It had been the understanding that unity didn't require uniformity. The greatest challenge, Maya shared, her thoughts reaching across multiple levels of consciousness, wasn't achieving collective consciousness. It was learning how to maintain individual perspective within it. Each mind adds something unique to the symphony. Across the galaxy, new forms of art, science, and understanding emerge. The quantum poets of Sirius created works that existed simultaneously as mathematics, music, and pure thought. The dream sculptors of the Pleiades shaped consciousness itself into forms that could be experienced across multiple dimensions of reality. The old problems of resource scarcity and territorial disputes faded as civilizations learned to exist more efficiently, sharing experiences rather than consuming materials. Worlds that had been stripped bare by industry were restored by the combined understanding of 1,000 ecological consciousness streams. Even death began to take on new meaning. Consciousness, they discovered, left echoes in the quantum fabric of space-time. These echoes could be accessed, not as ghosts or recordings, but as contributions to the ever-growing symphony of galactic consciousness. In the deepest parts of space, at the edges of the galaxy, new signals were being detected. Other galaxies, other forms of consciousness, reaching out across the void. Humanity's gift continued to ripple outward, touching civilizations that had yet to be discovered. We were never meant to be alone, Maya observed, her consciousness extending through the nexus. Every species, every form of consciousness, is a note in a universe-spanning symphony. We just needed to learn how to listen. The Concordat, once a political entity maintaining order through rules and regulations, had evolved into something far more profound, a framework for consciousness to explore, expand, and harmonize across the vastness of space. And Earth, once known as the silent world, now stood as a testament to possibility. Its silence hadn't been an absence of communication, but rather a deeper form of listening, waiting for the galaxy to be ready for a conversation that would change everything. In the end, humanity's greatest achievement wasn't in reaching the stars, building mighty empires, or even achieving collective consciousness. It was in showing the galaxy that every species, every form of thought and existence, had the potential to transcend its limitations while celebrating its uniqueness. The symphony played on, growing richer with each new voice that joined, each new form of consciousness that awakened to its own potential. The universe, they discovered, wasn't just a place of physical laws and material interactions. It was a vast canvas of consciousness, waiting to be painted with the colors of infinite minds. And somewhere, in the quantum depths of this new reality, the first human pioneers who had ventured into collective consciousness smiled, knowing that their dream of a united galaxy had been realized in ways far more beautiful than they had ever imagined.